Hi everybody, it's Doreen, and I'm back today with something that I challenged myself with, and that was that I wanted to try to make some more mini albums this year. And I got a cinch maybe about a year ago. My husband got it for me as a gift, and I'm sorry to say, or sad to say, that I never used it. So I have decided that I'm going to start using some of the things that I've been getting as gifts and some of the things that I have been purchasing more, rather than just letting them sit there. He also bought me a Bind It All, and I'm going to try to use that next, but I have to say that I did like using the scent. So, since I decided to go ahead and try and do some more mini albums, I wanted to do a mini album for my mother for Mother's Day. Well, as I said in my previous Mother's Day cards with the Cricut series, Mother's Day snuck up on me, and I didn't get a chance to finish it by Mother's Day. But I have finished it, and I'm going to send it to her. So I want to get started and show you my mini album. And I used my new toy, Mr. Bond, or it's a Vagabond, but I call it Mr. Bond, to cut out my chipboard for my mini album. And I used the Baroque die. So this is what it looks like. And as you can see, it's very thick. I didn't realize it was going to be this thick. But there was a page in here that I really wanted to add to this mini album. So I thought, well, it's a thick one, but I think she's going to like it. So I'm going to start off and talk about my cover. The cover of the mini album. And before I even start with that, I'm going to say that I used the Lemon Stack Die Cuts with the View paper stack to make the mini album, and some chipboard. And I really like using my Mr. Bond because I was able to run more than one piece of chipboard through at a time. So now, as I was saying, the cover of my mini album, I've taken and put some ribbon flowers on there. And these ribbon flowers I learned how to make by watching Arlene from My Butterfly Kisses 12. She has a tutorial on how to make these ribbon flowers, and I will put the link to her tutorial in the description bar or somewhere in the video. And then I've also went ahead and added this little butterfly, and this was part of the Recollections collection. And then throughout the album, I have used my Cricut. So I will tell what cartridge I use for each item, but I won't give the sizes. If you're interested in what sizes that I cut everything, you can just send me a comment and I'll let you know. So for the first one, I've got the word Mama written out or cut out. And this is from the Mother's Day 2010 cartridge that I've cut that out. And when I cut it out, I went ahead and cut it 3 times and stacked them together. And then I took my Stampin' Up! Ink and went ahead and colored, inked the cardstock. And this cardstock, I just cut it out in some cream color cardstock, and then I inked it. Now for my closure, because my album was so thick, what I ended up doing was I had some trim that I had bought previously on a haul, and I also had this trim that I've got at Joann's in the upholstery department. So don't always check just in where they have the ribbons and lace. go over by the upholstery section and you'll find there's a lot of trim over there as well. And the thing about this trim was it was on the clearance rack. So it already had the beads attached to it. So that was less work for me to do. So I basically have just taken some of the trim and glued the beaded trim to that. And then I went ahead and made sure I could get it all the way across. And I put some Velcro on the trim rather than putting it on the flower. Now the flower is from the Prima flowers that I have. And I took those and used some Distress ink and some of my Yasutomo paints, or actually I used the watercolor paints, and some iridescent medium, and just lightly put some on the edges of the flower so that it would shine. And I'm going to bring this up closer to the camera so you can see. I don't know if it'll pick up the shine. And the flower behind, I did the same thing. I used, the Prima flowers were off-white and white. And I just took some of the Stampin' Up! Ink and inked the flowers. And then used the watercolor paints with the iridescent medium. And just put that on the edge. And as far as the colors, I believe the top flower, the color was Tim Holtz Distress ink, the mustard seed, and my Stampin' Up! Was the mellow moss. Those were the two colors I used for that. So let's go ahead and move on to the first page. So now for my first page, I just went ahead and I added some lace trim down here at the bottom. And I took some brads that were in the dollar bin at Michael's, and I put those on top of the lace trim because I wanted to add like a pocket to stick a picture in. And then on the side here, I just have some more Recollections swirl bling. And then I've gone ahead and I have a picture of my mother from Mother's Day of this year that I have put inside that, or down in that pocket area. And then I just took one of the Recollections flowers and some of my watercolor paints and iridescent medium, and then just put that on the edge of the picture. And then on the back I just have Mother's Day 2011. So now for my next page, I have some more of the Recollection flowers. And I've taken those as well and used the watercolor paints and the iridescent medium and painted the flowers just to give them a little shine. Now, the petal card right here in the center, I had been searching and searching to find the Sizzix or / Stampin' Up! Petal card die. I contacted several Stampin' Up! Dealers trying to find this die because I really wanted this die. Sizzix no longer carries it, and neither does Stampin' Up! It's no longer available. I started searching through my Gypsy with all my cartridges that I have, and I found out that I actually have the petal card on one of the Cricut cartridges that I have, which is the Walk in My Garden. So I was very happy to see that I did have it. What I've done is I've taken and stamped out It's a Girl on the front of the petal card. And then underneath that, I've actually stamped out or written out my birth date. That's why I have this covered up, because I don't want to, it's got the month, the date, and the year on there, and I didn't want to have that seen, so I just covered it up with some pink paper. But once you untie it and open it up, what I've done is I took and I cut out, before I actually cut the die out, I put a rattle a baby bottle, some safety pins or baby pins, and 2 little baby feet. And I used my Cricut pens to do this so that it would not cut these out. And then I took my Yasutomo paints and colored everything in. Then I went, before I colored everything in, after I drew this out with the Cricut pens, using the Cricut, I then went back and removed them from the petal die that I had set up on my Gypsy, and then I went ahead and cut the actual petal card. So as I was opening it, you could see that there was a picture inside, and the picture is actually me when I was about 3 months old. So I thought my mother would get a real kick out of that, because I found this picture in a box of pictures, and when I found it, I said to myself, whose baby is that? And then I looked on the back and realized the baby was me. So I think she's going to laugh when she opens this. So that's how I did that. And then I just took and added some ribbon in the back before I adhered it down. And I'm going to just tie a little bow. And I'll probably have to leave her, when I send this to her, send her a note saying what she needs to do for each one of the pages. So let's move on to the next page. So now here on my next page, what I've done is I've taken some ribbon and just made some pleats so that I could form like a pocket to put a little mat inside. And on the cover of the mat, I have some Recollections flowers, and I've taken and glimmer misted them, and I've glimmer misted the bottom one with tattered leather and forest green, and then this top one is actually some homemade glimmer mist that I made using some of my Pearl X powders. And if you're interested in what colors that I use to make this, you can also send me a comment and I'll let you know. And then I just added a little bling in the middle. The other thing I've done is I've gone ahead and taken some little metal swirls that I picked up that are by Jolie and added those as well. And then I've put some trim right here in the corner to hold in the mat stack, or the mat. So inside here, I've actually got a picture of when I was pregnant with my son. And then below that is a picture of him when he was 6 weeks old. And it says, "It's a boy." And then I took and put on the back, "Baby Arrival." I've stamped that out. And this cardstock was just some cream cardstock. And I once again took the homemade glimmer mist and just glimmer mist all of the paper. So that sits down inside here, like so. And then I have the trim up there to hold it in the corner. So now let's go ahead and move to the next page. Now on my next page, I've taken and made what I call a pocket card. And the pocket card is from the Sentimentals cartridge. And I've gone ahead and also cut out the words memories. And I believe I got this from the Cricut sample. And then I went ahead and took my Martha Stewart butterfly punch, which is my favorite punch. And I punched out 2 butterflies and stacked them. And then I took some clear embossing powder or embossing ink and put it on the butterflies. And then I took and used some ultra thick embossing powder to make them shine more and kind of pop up to look like they're flying off the page. And then right here I have this heart-shaped button that was actually, it was a cream color, and I took some of the rub and buff and just run it along there just to give it an antique look. And down below, I took one of my charms that has the word journey, and I ran some rub and buff across that as well, and then I put some bling on each side. And these little flowers right here are actually from the Martha Stewart hydrangea punch. I punched those out in with cream color stock, and then I inked them with the mustard seed Tim Holtz Distress ink. For the inside, I've went ahead and cut out some tags, and they're also from the Sentimentals cartridge. And on each one of the tags, I have a picture of myself and my mother when she came to visit me after I had my son. She came when he was a week old. And then I have a picture of my son and myself during that same time. And then I put this picture in here because I don't think she has one. And this picture has a funny story behind it. When we decided to go and visit my mother, she lived in New York at the time, and we lived in Florida. The day that we arrived, or were arriving, they were getting ready to have a big snowstorm. And they were supposed to be getting something like 20 inches of snow. Well, because I had lived in New York before, I was prepared for this when she called me and told me. But I did not have a snowsuit for my son, nor could I find a snowsuit in Florida anywhere. So what ended up happening was when she arrived to pick us up at the airport, she had a snowsuit with her. So needless to say, the whole week we were there was a lot of snow. We were able to get out, and my son actually got the chance to see snow for the first time, and he did not like it. He kept calling it ice cream for some reason. I don't know why. He just kept saying, "Mommy, the ice cream is melted on my face." Now, on this page here, I've gone ahead and made what I call a matte fold out. And I've taken and cut out the year 2007. And this is from the Gypsy font cartridge. And you can only get this if you own a Gypsy. It's not a cartridge that is for sale because it comes preloaded on the Gypsy. And I've got some bling going all the way across the top and along the side here. And what I've done is at the top and the bottom, I've taken the Martha Stewart punch, which is called the optic dot, and put that on the top and the bottom. And once again, I used some cream color cardstock, and I went ahead and glimmer misted it with that homemade glimmer mist that I made. And I've inked the edges. And I've inked the edges with the More Mustard and the tea dye. The More Mustard by Tim Holtz and the the More Mustard is by Stampin' Up. The tea dye is by Tim Holtz. So, and then I've taken and put some bling at the bottom and this little loop closure down to hold the matte folder closed. And this right here, the closure itself was a button, and I just popped the back off the button. So now this flips open like so. And the year 2007 is meaningful for me and my mother because this is when she came to visit me and also to come to my wedding. So I have in here pictures from the wedding. So there is a picture of my son and myself, and then there's a picture of my mother and me, and then I have a picture of my mother, and then In the center, a picture of me in my wedding dress, and then at the bottom, a picture of my son as he was giving a toast to my husband and me. So for the trim that you see right here, this was some trim that I actually got at Big Lots. It was one big long 12 by 12 sheet, and you could just cut it up into different pieces. And I just went ahead and inked the edges as well on this. So let's close this back like so, and then we'll put that across there. So now on this page here, what I've done is I've also went ahead and put one of the flowers that I've been making, that I learned how to make from Kathy from Paper Phenomenon, and she has a Ustream class on how to make these flowers. I've referred to it in previous videos, so if you go back and look at my previous videos, or just go to Kathy's blog, which is paperphenomenon.blogspot.com. She has a link to her Ustream classes, and you can learn how to make this flower. And this is what I'm calling my gatefold, and I have some flat back pearls on here, and I've stamped out the word treasure and mother. And this flourish in the front is from the Cindy Lou cartridge. And what I've done is to keep it closed is I've added like a buckle or a strap, and you just pull this open and then it opens out. And then I have a picture in here. This picture is a picture of my grandmother, my mother's mother, who is no longer with us, but she's still in my thoughts every day. And I found this picture along with when I found my baby picture. And so I've stamped memories and the word peace. And then on the other side, I have a picture of my mother, who loves to laugh and is a lot of fun. And in the middle, I have the definition of a mother. It says, the woman who cradled you as an infant, held your hand as a child, and as an adult, sorry about that, that was my timer. As an adult, she let you go. And I got this from a CD that is called 1000 Card Quotes. So let's go ahead and move on. Now, this page, I have gone ahead and created another mat, fold out mat, and we'll go over that, but let's go over the page itself first. I have a swirl over here that I've taken and cut out with my Cricut, and this is also from the Cindy Lou cartridge. And once I cut it out, I then went ahead and took some clear embossing ink and embossing powder, and actually I used the ultra thick and kind of made it shine like so. And then I've added some flat back pearls. And then down here at the bottom, I created a little pocket. I just tore some of the scraps from the lemon stack paper and added that to make a pocket. And then I've taken and put some flowers, and these flowers are from the Stampin' Up! Boho Blossom Punch. And I've added some bling in the center of this one, and then some stickles in the middle of these two flowers. And then for my mat, I've got the year 2010, and this was the year my mother, which was just last year, came to visit me for the Thanksgiving holidays, and we went out and got all the good deals the day after Thanksgiving. I hadn't been able to do that with her in several years, so it was a lot of fun, and I wanted to give her some memories of coming here when she did, and the fact that it was extremely cold, and she has now moved somewhere where it's extremely warm. So she was really bundled up the day after Thanksgiving, because I believe the temperature here was only like 10 degrees. So I've put some pictures in here of while she was here. And I've got a picture of my husband and myself. And then I have a picture of my mother and me. And then there's a picture of just me. And then I have another picture of some of the people that were invited over to my house for Thanksgiving dinner. But because I don't have their permission to put their pictures on YouTube, I'm just going to leave those covered up. And then on the same thing on this one too. So that sits down inside like so. So now on this page, what I've done is I've added another flourish from the Cindy Lou cartridge, and I took some bling with my iRock tool and put that on the flourish. And then I took my Spellbinders Heart Classic die and cut that out, and then I rubber stamped Because I Love You Mom, and I'm not sure if the camera will pick that up, but I took this and embossed it with some clear embossing ink, and the embossing powder I use is called Fire Opal. And then I've taken some of those Recollection little blings and made a flower out of them. And over here I have some of those Recollection leaves that I have glimmer mist, and I glimmer mist these with silver and dazzling diamond. And then in the center I've taken the boho blossom punch again and punched out some flowers, and then I've added some bling in the middle, and this was actually a brad that I put in the middle. And then down here at the bottom I've taken my easy bow maker and made a bow and then just put some bling on the top. So now this page is, I believe, what's causing my album to be so thick. What I've done is I've taken and made a fold out mat, and I'm going to go over that, but first I'm going to tell you I've taken some of the Prima bling and put this on the side, the top and the bottom. And then on top of here I've got Prima flowers, and I've used the homemade glimmer mist again, and I've taken and put a pearl, and this was actually a button, and I popped the back off of it so it would lay flat. So now when she opens this up, I have put the letter M, and I actually got this whole sentiment from my Ultimate Card book, and I wanted the letters to pop up, so I believe this is why my album is so thick, but that's okay. I was able to get it closed. And I cut the letters out using the Gypsy font cartridge again, and I cut it using some cream color cardstock, and then also some metallic cardstock that I've had for quite a while. So the M next to that has the wording, is for the million of things you gave me. And what I did was I took each one of these sayings or sentiments and printed them out on my computer, and then I took my Spellbinders die, I believe it's the labels 4, and die cutted them out. So when she folds it out, the next letter is O, means only that we're growing old. And then you fold out again and you have the letter T, is for the tears you shed to save me. And then you flip it over and you have the letter H, is for your heart of purest gold. And then the letter E is for your eyes with love light shining. And then R means right, and right you'll always be. And as we all know, mothers are always right. At least my mother is. So I I really wanted to do this page, and I actually started with this page first, and then that's when I realized my album was going to be very thick. So I'm going to go ahead and tie that back, and then once you go flip to the other side, it says put them all together, and they spell mother. And I've actually made another mat stack, and what's holding it together is just some trim, and then I've used some more buttons where I've taken off the back so that they'll lay flat. And then if you go ahead and you open this up, it just says, a word that means the world to me because I love you, Mom. And I just stamped that out and then colored it in a little bit with some of my Yasutomo paints. And on the back I just have a butterfly. So that's how that all ties in with this page. So then on the back I have another flower that's the Prima Flowers that I have inked with the Mellow Moss, and then on the edges I just took some of the Yasutomo paints and just did just the edges. And then with this flower I used the Mellow Moss again and some of the mustard seed, and I took the Yasutomo paints just to make the leaves kind of shine and pop out. So then I've taken and cut out the 2011, which is from the Gypsy font as well, and basically I just wanted my mother to have a reminder of the Mother's Day card that I gave her for Mother's Day this year. So I've just mounted that and made a mat with it. And then to hold that in, I've taken and used the Optic Dot Martha Stewart punch again, and I glimmer mist some cream color cardstock with forest green, and then taken some of the Yasutomo paints and ran that across just to give it a shimmer. And then I also stamped on the back, created for you by, and my name. So that is my mini album for my mother for Mother's Day. It's pretty thick. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.